Hey guys, Rob again. I want to apologize for those of you that have been following me, and I know I told you guys I was going to do my thoughts and opinions of how the Cougar KR has done on the track and everything, but I was waiting on some things to come in and waiting on some parts and tools and stuff, and just took a little break. But I'm going to go ahead, Jim and Ron, go ahead and do that comparison video for you for this compared to the 4.2. I know that Jim, you're still looking to get into buggies, so I'll give you my thoughts on what I think. And I want to give a shout out to Bash to Slash and Jacob. Thanks for subscribing. I know my videos have all been Schumacher, but hopefully I can get some cool running vids and maybe some other models and stuff up for you guys. But yeah, thanks for subscribing. It's cool. So I have run the Cougar at the track, let's see, about I got 6-7 times now. And there's a couple of things I want to go over first before a couple of recommendations I have for you guys, for whoever has been interested in this car. One thing, you'll notice that I am now running, these are the big bore bleeder caps. The way you build the stock caps, it calls for, you put your diaphragm or your bladder on there, inside, then you put your cap on. Well, I had some issues with leaks, and they were leaking right around where the cap meets the shock body, like oil was coming out from underneath the bladder and was actually leaking out. One of these in the rear, I can't remember which because I've had them off now, but I would touch it like this, and there was so much oil coming out. It was like a big eyedropper drop of oil. I'm like, holy cow, that's a lot of leaking, a lot of leakage. So what I did was, these big bore bleeder caps come with an O-ring and a diaphragm or bladder. I would recommend building these shocks or switching over, whatever. If you're having some, if you're having the leak where you go like this and there's like a line of oil, which is a good indication that you're leaking, I put the O-ring inside the shock cap because it does have a groove for it inside the cap, and I didn't use the bladder. So just an O-ring in the cap and then the cap on the shock body. I think they call that emulsion style. But since I've done that, no leaks. None of them are leaking now since I've done that. So that's, I don't know if it was just mine. I don't know if the bladders weren't made to spec or something. I don't know what was going on, but yeah, all 4 of mine were leaking with the stock build. But like I said, no bladder with the O-ring in the cap, no leaks. So I would highly recommend, again, if you guys end up picking this buggy up or you've been having problems with leaking, I would recommend either, I think you can get the O-ring by itself. You don't have to get these caps to get the O-ring. Either way, get that O-ring, put it in there, and don't run the bladder. That should take care of it like it did for me. So 2, you guys will notice that I am back to a full chassis brace and or battery strap. Reason being, and I put an annotation in my video, I think it's video build 3, where I talk about how I cut it right here because I didn't like it. It was a pain in the ass, and well, it's still a pain in the ass because you got to get this pin in here, Then you got to get a clip. Then you got these two clips. It's still a lot of friction to get that pin in here, but I was talking to a guy online who told me, yeah, but if you run a full strap, your car's going to handle better. Because without that section from here to here, the whole front end flexes. And one of the problems, when I started thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? If you nosedive hard enough, you could run the risk of cracking the bulkhead. Because like I said, there was a pretty good amount of flex in there. And that kind of freaked me out when I actually saw how much flex was in there. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to run the risk of breaking this bulkhead. Plus, yeah, on a high grip track, I do want as much stiffness as possible. And by running a full strap, you're going to get that nice stiff feeling, and you're not going to get as much flex and run the risk of cracking right here. So that's another recommendation. Run a full strap. Don't cut it or unhook it like I did. And then it'll also help you keep, if you're running a shorty like me, you can obviously see where I'm running my lipo. I'm running it all the way in the rear, and I'm running 2 of the Schumacher lipo foams, but I also had to make a little shim. I don't know how well you can see that. Yeah, see that little extra block right here? I had to add that because without that, there was that much gap in there, and my lipo was sliding around. I mean, I probably could have stuck a little bit of foam back here, but one thing, when I first started running at the track, my ass end was breaking loose all over the place. You know, so it's obvious that the track I was running at, a high bite carpet track, this car wants the battery all the way in the rear. Maybe different for you guys, I don't know, but on a low grip dirt track, yeah, you could probably get away with, you know, running the lipo forward or something, but on a high bite track, I'd recommend running the lipo all the way back. But make sure you have some extra foam, because you might need to make a shim like I did if you're running the stock pieces. Let's see, what else did I do? I am going to get some of, if you guys have seen those on the KF, they have those shock guards, those shock protectors, which is brilliant design by Schumacher. They're basically like, go on the website and check them out. They're basically like a thick piece of Lexan that totally covers the top of the shock tower and most of these nuts right here. And it comes down and it bolts on, I believe, right here, and comes all the way down to here. Schumacher says that it not only protects the top of your shock tower and your shock nuts, but it also helps protect the track you're running on, which is brilliant. And I do know that for the front of this KR, you can use the front one for the KF. It will bolt right on. The back, though, is a different shock tower on the KF. So there might be some guys out there that have modified it to fit. I don't know, but yeah, the front one will bolt right on. I think it's only like a $5 piece. I'm just waiting for I know Discount, I think it's called Discount RC Store. They have them in stock and sell them, but they only use PayPal, and I'm not a fan of PayPal, so I'm going to wait until A-Main gets them in. So until that happens, I did a little shoe goo. I made a little, I don't know how much it's going to protect it, but a little protective coating of shoe goo, because I did roll it a couple of times at the track, and there was a little tiny chip on this side. So until I get that shock guard, or shock tower guard, nut guard. Made a little shoe goo coating on there. What else did I do? Lipo in the rear, 30 weight in the rear, and I raised my rear camber links. The stock build has you do 1mm washer and a 2mm washer, which gives you a total of 3. On a high bite track, the general consensus is running 2mm. So you take one of the 1mm out, which in turn is going to raise your camber link. It's going to give you a better traction. So I did that, 30 weight, and lipo in the rear. It handles a lot better. As far as a comparison for Jim and, well, whoever else wants to know, you'll notice my motor's gone, my wheels are off, there's no electronics in there. That is because this is up for sale. And you're probably thinking, wow, so you must really like Schumacher now. Yeah, I do. I still have my, don't get me wrong, this car handles great. I did very, very minimal setup to this right out of the build. All I did was mess around with the shock oils. I didn't change camber links, nothing. All I did was shock oil changes, and I was in the top bracket for lap times. So if that gives you an indication of how well this runs with no changes to it, I mean that's pretty damn good. And like, you know, obviously I just talked about what I all did on this one. This one takes a little bit more for carpet, but nothing. If you take your patience, you can set up any car, just about. But yeah, I got this up for sale. I still have my my SC10. I still have my SC10 buggy. I still have my 8.2 nitro. But as far as track goes, racing goes, I'm going to be sticking with Schumacher for a while. A couple of months I'm going to get the KF, that forward motor 2-wheel drive. And then, not to talk too long about this, but the Cougar, you guys know, I'm sure you guys know the Cat K1 4-wheel drive. They have a new one that's coming out this month. It's an update. It's a Cat K1 Aero. What they did was they get the Aero name because they gave it a new body, aerodynamic shell. They gave it 12mm hexes, big bore shocks, new saddle pack layout, new or new-ish carbon fiber chassis, rear and front gear diffs. God, what else did they do to that thing? I think there's a couple more things they did. Oh, it's got the shock tower protectors like the KF. So yeah, that's awesome. You guys should go on the site and check it out. Cat K1 Aero, yeah, it's a new update to the 4-wheel drive. I'm like, wow, Schumacher's pumping the models out. But like I said, I got this one. I think I'm going to get the KF in a couple of months, and that new Cat K1 Aero. Might pick that one up in the spring or summer. I don't know. But to do a comparison, let's do a maintenance comparison. Let's say you got to get to the diff on this. Schumacher it's a brilliant design. If you want to refer to one of my, I think it's build 1 or build 2 video, it's going to be a little tricky to see, but let me see if I can. Basically what it does, let's say you want to take the diff out of here, you want to change oil, whatever. You don't have to, you can leave your slipper clutch and the gearbox all intact. You can just take all that off, your slipper, gearbox, everything, all off as one piece. And as soon as you pop that off, your diff is sitting in there by itself. It sits in there on the aluminum braces for it. That's awesome. Completely awesome. I love that design. The 4.2, to get to your diff, which is obviously in here, you gotta take your slipper off, you gotta split the cases. It's not that big of a deal, but it's definitely a little more time consuming, which hopefully when Associated comes out with their new, I don't know if it's the B4.5 or the B5, whatever the hell they're going to call it, hopefully I would like to see Associated do a whole new car, to tell you the truth. Because having as many Associated vehicles as I have, and then building this, I hate to say it, but this 4.2 just seems so old and outdated. I would love to see Associated completely redo their next buggy, which I think is coming out in a couple of months. From what I heard, they're supposed to debut it at some race or release it after some race that's coming up. I think it's called the Reedy race. I think it's supposed to have an aluminum chassis. They're going back to the old aluminum chassis that they used to have on their buggies. Well, I mean, they still have them on the 8 scale, but if you guys have been around for a while, you know what I'm talking about. I used to have an original 10T tub chassis. Of course, you got the original RC10, which had the aluminum chassis, but apparently going back to aluminum chassis, I don't know what else they're doing to it, but I mean, look at the front end. I mean, it's got the old straight A-arms, and all your top buggies these days are all running a lower geometry A-arms and setup. I mean, Associated really needs to update this car. I mean, they already have the gull-wing A-arms on their 10.2, the SC10 buggy, which you can bolt those right onto the regular SC10. And so if they don't put it on the new buggy, it's just stupid. Because all the top buggies are doing it. Schumacher, Serpent, I believe Kyosho has it, Losi. But as far as handling, like I said, maintenance, the gear diff is just awesome. Maintenance on this is fairly easy. I mean, another cool thing though is if you want to take let's say your servo blows out, and you're like, oh crap, and you're at the track. All you gotta do is take this top plate off. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. Take the top of your shocks and swing them out. Pull that whole top plate off, and then bam, there you go. This one, I know I got the body on here, but this one's easy too, though. I mean, you only have 2 screws underneath, and you pop your servo out. It's like, okay, so this has a better gear diff maintenance. This has a better servo maintenance. So maintenance-wise, kind of hard to compare. Buggies aren't that hard to work on in general. I know, Jim, you said you've never had a buggy, but trust me, buggies aren't that hard to work on. But they do. Schumacher does do some things. Like let's say you want to adjust your wheelbase. Well, in this one, you got to pull the pin completely out and fiddle with those stupid little bushings. This one, I know the wheel's on here, but if you watch another one of my videos, where I talk about the quick clips. They're not bushings like that. They're little clips that you just pull out. You put one in the back, so you're running 2 in the back. There you go, short wheelbase. 2 in the middle, medium wheelbase. 2 in the front, long wheelbase. Put your tire back on, boom, go out on the track and test it. So that's cool. The diff is cool. Servo is a little bit more time consuming than this one. So as far as maintenance goes, or doing setup, not a whole lot of difference. Some things are easier, some things about the same, whatever. Now, the 4.2, or I should say the factory team shocks, I like these a lot better. I don't know if it's the fact that it's 3-hole pistons or 13mm shock shafts, but I'll tell you what, 35 Associated oil in here, 35 Associated oil in here, because at one point I was running 35 here, 35 here. This 35 makes this 35 feel like 25. It's just, these shocks are just awesome, and they're not, factory team special edition whatever. They're standard. They don't play the name game, factory team parts like Associate does. I always thought that was goofy. But so the Schumacher shocks are definitely better. Not to say that these shocks aren't bad. They're easy to build, easy to maintain. I've never had any issues with leaks on these. So they're good. The J Concepts body, I don't really care for. It's pretty, kind of flimsy. It's a pain in the ass sometimes when you're doing electronics because these sidewalls can compress your wires so much. I actually had a wire on my other power cap where it plugs into the receiver. I actually had a wire. This body was pressing on it so much the wire actually broke. And it dents easy. Not a fan of this Bulldog body. The Schumacher body up there, that thing is like a damn short course body. It's so durable. Very, very durable. So hopefully, I'm sure J Concepts will probably still be with them when they make their new car, but they need to do something about that. But it's really hard to compare. This one, it's like I can't really say, well, this is new and it's completely different because it's new. Well, no, because it's kind of like, what is it, the SV2, the SVR, with some upgrades to it, where this is kind of like the 4.1 with upgrades. So it's like you can't, some people say, well, this is old and outdated and it's ancient compared to the newer buggies, and you can kind of say yeah, but to a certain extent. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this is like a Cadillac and this is like I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. Ford Focus? I don't even know if that's comparable because I actually like the Ford Focus cars. But I think you guys know where I'm trying to go with this. So Jim and anybody else that's watching this, you've talked about the 4.2 and you've talked about owning the Cougar KR. I would say wait and see what Associated does with their new one. If they update everything, then perhaps check that one out. But I'd say right now, if you're like, no, I want a buggy and it's either this one or this one, well, I'd go with the Schumacher because I'm going to be running Schumacher for a while. I've built a lot of Associated kits, and the night that I built this, you can't really, it's hard to, I don't know what to say. The screws, I have had no screws back out on this since I built it, since I ran it. Every Associated vehicle I've had screws come loose and just won't retighten. And of course you do the trick of putting a slightly longer screw in there to make new threads, and then it still untightens. It's just the plastic. Associated, these parts are Chinese made. In fact, they're made in the same factory that Traxxas parts are. Most of the Schumacher is made in England or Britain. So that's pretty cool. And I'm a fan of British made stuff. They make some a lot of good things have come out of Britain, and this is definitely one of them. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I've had no screws back out of this. No screws come loose. There's no slop. There's no play. You don't have what I call the track rattle. When you're up on the driver's stand and I'm driving this, I can hear the parts rattling, the slop, the play. On this, I hear nothing but the motor. It's amazing. I've had people come up to my pit area and feel it and be like, wow, there's just no play anywhere. I was like, yeah, I know. And then this one, you can hear that. Well, obviously there's no servo in there, but hear that? You can actually see it. Look at the A-arm. That's crazy how much play. This thing has nothing. There's no play in here. There's no play in here. There's a little bit of play, which has to be expected, but nowhere near the amount that's, in these. So I don't know, Jim, and anybody else that's watching this. It's hard to say. I would personally, if you got your heart set on one of these two, I'd go with this, or wait until the B5 comes out, or 4.5, B5, whatever the hell they're gonna call it. But I don't want to drone on too long because I'm almost at 27 minutes here, and I just wanted to give you guys. I know some of you guys have been waiting to see what I thought about this, and I love it. I absolutely love this car. It jumps like awesome. It's so stable in the air. It lands like it's on a bed of feathers. I mean, I barely had to do any throttle and brake control in the air. It's so stable. I absolutely love it. I would highly recommend this to anybody that's watching this, or you've never been sure about Schumacher because of parts or something like that, which I actually ended up ordering another KR kit. I have another kit coming, what's today? Technically Monday. I have another kit coming Tuesday, so I'll have 100% spare parts. Well, actually I have doubles of some parts because I already have some A-arms and casters and steering knuckles. And yeah, I mean, that tells you. And I know some people are worried about, well, yeah, but my local hobby shop doesn't carry Schumacher, and isn't it hard to get parts? And well, see, that's the thing. When you order something like a brand that your hobby shop doesn't carry, you're gonna have to get parts, as many parts as you possibly can. But you can just start off with, I haven't broke anything on this car, but you can just start off. Let's say you're on a site and you put this in your cart, add to cart. I would recommend right away getting some A-arms and probably some knuckles or casters, or A-arms, get some extra tie rods. I mean, I do know for a fact, which I don't think I mentioned this, I broke the stock. I got hit from behind on a practice run. A guy in a short course truck hit me like this, and it actually looked kind of funny from the driver's stand. The wing popped up and flew around like a propeller. What actually happened was he hit me and snapped the wing mounts. These are the stock ones now. I got them back. But so I went up front and I'm like, oh crap. I know they're not going to have any Schumacher ones. What am I going to do? So the owner's son was there and he goes, well, you know what? Hang on a second. And he went back to the parts section and he goes, how about we try these? And basically what they were Kyosho. He found some RB5 Kyosho wing mounts, and there's a little bit of modification. You can't run these screws in it. They take the clips, and that screw will still go into the Kyosho, but see how it's got the tab in the stock ones? On the Kyosho ones, you're going to have to run a screw down here at the bottom, because the Kyosho one has 2 screw holes instead of 1, like these do. So that's the thing to keep in mind for you guys. If by some chance you have this car and you break the wing mounts, Kyosho ones for the RB5 will be the closest thing you can get. So, but no, I was talking about people are leery about stuff like this, But if you're gonna get this car, or Serpent Spider, a brand that your hobby shop doesn't sell. Get as many parts as you possibly can right off the bat. If you have to save up and get, I know not everybody's going to spend $600 on 2 kits just to have parts like I did, but get what you can right away. A-arms, because your local hobby shop, more than likely, let's say you bend one of these and they don't carry Schumacher stuff, I can guarantee you'll find another tie rod that'll fit. But you might not be so lucky when it comes to arms, casters, or yokes, or knuckles. These, yeah, I'm sure you could put something else, another brand tie rod in there. But when it comes to plastic, yeah, probably not. So even though your hobby shop, it's the same thing at the track I go to. A lot of people, they don't want to run anything else besides Associated, Low C. It's like, yeah, but there's better brands out there. One of them's right here. I don't want to say Schumacher's better than Associated, but this is better quality than that. I'll tell you that much. So, even though if your shop doesn't carry stuff, get some extras. Get the stuff that's most likely to break your first couple of days at the track. These, and your steering knuckles. Those are the parts that are going to go into the wall or your border of your track more than anything else. I took some pretty hard, a lot of people will say, well, no, you got to have shock towers. You absolutely must have shock towers on hand. Well, I've taken some pretty hard tumbles, and all I had is one little chip, and it wasn't even barely visible. I just saw it under magnifying glass because I'm obsessive compulsive like that, I guess. But no, the parts that are going to go into the wall or going to go into somebody else's car are going to go into the borders of the parts you want to have on hand. And again, not to keep going over and over, but anything that sticks out from here, that's what you want to have on hand. But yeah, this video is like way longer than it should be. But as far as the buggy handling, I love it. It jumps great. It lands great. Maintenance is awesome. It corners better. If you're on a high bike carpet track, yeah, I wouldn't recommend running the lipo all the way forward. Put it in the back. It's just an awesome running car. I absolutely love it. I would highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. I know I'm definitely going to be picking up another, not another, but a KF. I want to try that one. And like I said, that new Cat Aero, or Cat K1 Aero, probably going to get one of those too, because I have been wanting a four-wheel drive buggy, or I should say 110. I have that and a Nitro four-wheel drive 8 scale. But I never had a four-wheel drive 110, so a Cat K1. I've had my eye on the Cat for a while, but I didn't like the small bore shocks. I didn't like the pins. But now that they have updated it, depending on how much it is, I might get that too. So, yeah, this little guy, he's going to be sold in a few weeks, couple weeks. So, I'll still have my Associated, like I said, my other ones. But as far as 110 buggy, I think it's going to be Schumacher for quite some time. So I guess I'll go ahead and end this video, guys. And yeah, 34 minutes of me droning on. But hey, I like talking RCs. And if this video helps anybody in either your decision making, or maybe you guys had some leaks around here like I did, maybe this will help you in some way or another. Jacob, I know you've been wanting a running video. I'm going to try my damnedest to get one up soon. Hopefully around the holidays I can get somebody to go with me that can film it. But I know it's so hard. But I know not only you, but a couple other people wanted some running vids. So hopefully I can get that up. But other than that, guys, have a good one. If you don't hear from me, have a good holiday, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Or if you got any questions, inbox me, private message me, whatever you call it. If anybody wants to know any more about this, I can give you everything I know about it. I know some people may say, well, 4.2 has been out for a while. What is there not to know? Well, you guys got to keep in mind, there's people that could be watching this video that know nothing about the 4.2, have never had a buggy. Like Jim, he's never had a 110 buggy, and he knows absolutely nothing. I didn't know much before that. I mean, my first buggy was a Tamiya Hornet back when it first came out. If that tells you how old I am. But I had that for a while. Then I got an original RC10T stadium truck, and then took a long break. I drove the hell out of that stadium truck. Took a long break, and then, God, what did I get? Oh, you know what? That right there. Just this past spring, I got back into RCs way more than ever. I picked that up. That's a DHK Optimus 4-wheel drive 8 scale. Then I picked up an 8.2, an RC 8.2 Nitro 8 scale. My the Traxxas Stampede, which needs new electronics. Well, motor and ESC. I picked up, what did I have? A Traxxas Bandit for a little while. So I guess you could say a Traxxas Bandit was my re-entry back into 110 buggy besides my Tamiya Hornet. And I quickly realized that the Traxxas Bandit is not meant for a track. It's not even meant for the damn Millennium system. All it did was wheelie. Because I tried going to the track and people are like, no, you want to run one of these. Either associated, low-C. So yeah, this was basically my first good 110 buggy. Then I moved on to that. And I love this. I really love this. So yeah, if you guys got any questions, I could tell you, everything I can about this. Same with that. So, okay, I'm done. I'm droned on way too long. Next time I talk to you guys, it'll probably be some kind of an update, or if it's not a running video, next time I talk to you guys, next time I make a video, it'll probably be for the KF model, which, well, by that time, a lot of people have the KF. I don't know. But there's only a couple of videos. If you guys search here on YouTube, there are 2 guys that just started running the KF. And there's one guy, I don't know what his name is, but search for Schumacher KR-After, and it shows him, I think it's a week after he built it, he's running on a carpet track, and that damn thing is just going around on a rail. I mean, I love this, don't get me wrong, but I cannot wait to get my hands on that KF. The track I run at, the carpet track, oh man, I know it would I cannot wait to drive that. But yeah, go check it, go find that guy's video. He's going around there really, really well. But alright guys, I'm done. I'm out. Happy holidays. Bye.